got so motherfucking design on right now. Bring it down, make it clap. I got 3 old thoughts on the block.
Okay, so picture this. I'm lost in a bamboo forest, like completely, utterly lost.
Oh, no.
In Kyoto, right? The sun's barely making it through these tall bamboo stalks. And the path, well, let's just say the path seems to have a mind of its own. And I'm totally alone.
Spooky.
Oh, yeah. And just when I'm starting to, feel that little touch of panic,
Yeah.
I stumble into this clearing. And there, in the middle of it all, a group of monks having a tea ceremony.
Wow.
It was like magic, seriously, like stepping into another world. Have you ever had one of those trips?
Oh, definitely.
Where it just, I don't know, shifted your perspective, maybe sparked a passion or like a whole new way of seeing things?
I think we all have those travel moments.
Yeah. And that's what today's deep dive is all about, those kinds of trips. And more importantly, how to make them happen.
Awesome.
So we've got a ton of sources here, some with like seriously clever tips for planning, uncovering hidden gems, and truly experiencing, really experiencing different cultures.
That's what it's all about, really getting under the surface. What I always find fascinating about travel is just how personal it can be,
Mm-hmm.
It's so much more than just checking off, landmarks and sites. It's about the surprises. It's about the awe. It's about the connections you make. And to be honest, a lot of that magic really begins with how you plan.
You're telling me some of these planning hacks that we found, unbelievable.
Right.
Like, for instance, did you know that there are tools out there like Google Flight Tracker
Yeah.
that can help you snag ridiculously cheap flights?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They're like little digital detectives. They use these crazy algorithms to track flight prices over time. And so you can spot patterns and then, book when prices dip.
So you're outsmarting the system.
Exactly. You're outsmarting the airline's pricing game. Yeah.
That's amazing. So it's not just random luck. There's actual science behind it.
100%. Yeah. And you know what else is really clever? It's leveraging those dreaded layovers to your advantage.
Wait, layovers.
Yeah.
Those are usually the worst part.
I know, right? But think about it. If you're strategic, you can actually use a long layover to explore a whole new city.
Oh, well.
Practically for free. Book a flight with a super extended layover in a city you've been dying to see, and bam, 2 trips in one.
Whoa. Turning a layover into a mini adventure. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I always considered them wasted time.
Yeah.
But, speaking of seeing more of the world, let's talk about finding those hidden gems, those places that aren't plastered all over, Instagram and the guidebooks.
Under the radar spots.
Okay. But how do you even begin to find those? It feels like everyone's already been everywhere and posted about it.
All right, let's play a little game.
Right.
I'll give you some clues, and you, along with our listeners, you can try to guess this mystery destination.
I like it. I like it.
All right, picture this. Cobblestone streets, an annual lavender festival that smells, divine, and one of the oldest cafes in all of Europe.
Okay, stop. Stop.
It's a coffee lover's dream.
Okay. Already I'm intrigued. Cobblestone streets. Could it be somewhere in Italy?
Ooh.
Or maybe one of those charming French villages?
You're getting warmer.
Okay.
It is definitely a European city, known for its romance and history.
Romance and history. Lots of places fit that bill.
Lots of places.
Could it be Paris?
Mm.
Or Prague? The suspense is killing me.
Okay, it is not Prague, but you're definitely on the right track geographically.
Okay.
This city has a deep literary history, and its riverbanks, a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Okay.
And if you have a sweet tooth, get ready for some incredible pastries.
Pastries, you say. Okay, I'm sold. I'm going to take a wild guess. Is it Budapest?
You got it.
Yes.
Budapest, Hungary.
Wow.
A city just bursting with charm, history, and, as you said, those irresistible pastries.
Budapest, Hungary.
Yeah.
Definitely adding that to my list. It's those unexpected discoveries that I really love about travel.
Me too.
Speaking of unexpected, how about we shift gears a bit and test our cultural knowledge?
Well, that's fun. What do you have in mind?
All right, imagine this. You're in a restaurant. You've just had a fantastic meal. The service, impeccable. And you want to show your appreciation. But in this particular country, leaving a tip might actually offend your host. Can you guess where we are?
That's a good one. I believe you're talking about Japan.
You're absolutely right.
Yes.
But for those of us used to tipping, why is that? Why is it frowned upon in Japan?
It all boils down to cultural context, really. In Japan, there's this deep-rooted belief in the inherent value of service. Doing a good job, it's its own reward.
Okay.
And so adding a tip, it can actually be seen as, like, implying that the service wasn't good enough on its own, you know? Or even worse, like you're trying to create some kind of, obligation.
Wow. That's such a different perspective.
Yeah.
It really makes you realize how important it is to, like, do your homework and understand the nuances of different cultures,
Yeah.
before you go. It's not just about knowing where to go, but also how to be while you're there.
Absolutely. Respecting those local customs and traditions, it doesn't just enhance, your travel experience. It helps you connect with the people and places you visit on, like a much deeper, more meaningful level.
It's about being a traveler, not just a tourist.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And speaking of meaningful connections, let's dive into those unforgettable encounters we have while traveling. Those moments that truly stay with you.
Oh, yeah.
Those people you meet on the road.
Yeah.
They can make a trip truly special. But it can be intimidating, trying to strike up conversations with strangers.
Oh, for sure. I think it's those, unexpected conversations and connections that can be the most enriching parts of travel. You might get invited to, like, a local festival, or you learn a new skill, or you hear a story that completely changes your perspective.
I completely agree. I remember this one time when I was in this tiny village in Nepal, like miles off the typical tourist trail.
Wow.
And I was feeling, to be honest, a little lost and homesick. And then this incredible woman, she spoke very little English. She invited me into her home for tea.
That's so sweet.
It was. And, we communicated through gestures and smiles. And, like, despite the language barrier, we shared this profound sense of connection.
That's beautiful.
It really was. It's a memory I'll always cherish.
It's amazing how those seemingly small encounters can just have such a lasting impact, right?
It is.
They remind us of our shared humanity, like that connection that connects us all.
Absolutely. It's those shared moments that make travel so transformative. So how do we make sure we're, like, open to those connections, to those moments?
Well, I think it starts with being present and open to the unexpected. Be curious, ask questions, and don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone.
That's great advice for life in general, really.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of stepping outside your comfort zone, what about solo travel? It's something I've always wanted to try, but it can feel pretty daunting. What are your thoughts on solo adventures?
Solo travel, it may seem intimidating at first, but it can be incredibly liberating. You set your own pace, follow your own interests, and you're open to those serendipitous encounters you might miss when you're traveling with, like, a group.
That makes sense. You're not having to, like, compromise or stick to someone else's itinerary. But isn't there a risk of feeling lonely?
There's definitely a chance of that. But it's also an opportunity to, really connect with yourself and the world around you. And think about it. When you're on your own, you're much more likely to, strike up conversations with locals and other travelers, try new things, really step outside that comfort zone.
So solo travel is like a crash course in, like, self-discovery and independence. I like that. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. Safety, especially for women traveling alone. Any tips for staying safe in unfamiliar territory?
Safety is absolutely paramount, especially when you're, exploring new places on your own. And foremost, research is key. Before you even, like, book your flight, dig deep into your destination, read blogs, travel forums, guidebooks,
I'm a research nerd, so that part's easy for me. What should I be, like, researching specifically?
Learn about local customs, potential safety concerns, and areas to avoid, especially at night. It's
Yeah.
also wise to, like, share your itinerary with, a trusted friend or family member back home and check in with them regularly.
Good idea.
Oh, and make sure your phone is charged.
Of course.
Consider carrying a portable charger and familiarize yourself with, like, local emergency numbers just in case.
Got it. Research, share your plans, and stay charged. What about actually meeting people? Hostels have always seemed like the, go-to for solo travelers, but I'm not sure I'm ready for, like, dorm life again. Are there other options for, like, connecting with people?
Hostels are definitely great for meeting people, but they're not the only option. There are tons of organized tours and activities that are specifically geared towards solo travelers. Walking tours, cooking classes, pub crawls, you name it.
I've heard those group walking tours can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You can explore a city, learn about its history, and, like, meet people from all over the world. at the same time.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of a simple conversation. Striking up a chat with locals or fellow travelers at a cafe, a museum, or even just waiting in line can lead to like unexpected friendships and unforgettable experiences.
That's true.
Remember, most people are, open to connecting, especially when they're traveling.
It's all about putting yourself out there, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's be real. Solo travel can get pricey. Any tips for keeping costs down without, like, sacrificing the experience?
Absolutely. Accommodation can be a major expense, right?
Yeah.
Hostels are definitely a budget-friendly option. But if you prefer more privacy, look into apartment rentals through sites like Airbnb, especially if you're like staying in one place for a while.
That's a good point. What about food? Eating out for every meal can really add up.
You're telling me.
Yeah.
Embrace the local markets and grocery stores. They're not only budget-friendly, but they're also a great way to experience, the local culture. And don't be afraid to try street food.
Oh, yeah.
It's often delicious, authentic, and, incredibly affordable.
I love exploring local markets when I travel. It's like a sensory adventure in itself. Any other money-saving tips for, solo travelers?
Definitely take advantage of free activities and attractions. Many cities offer free walking tours, parks, and museums with free admission days. It's all about being resourceful and creative with your budget.
Those are all fantastic tips. So if someone's listening and think about taking their first solo trip, what would be, like, your one piece of advice?
Do your research, plan carefully, but most importantly, just be open to the unexpected. Embrace the challenges, cherish the triumphs, and allow yourself to be transformed by the journey. Solo travel can be one of the most rewarding experiences of your life.
That's inspiring advice. It makes me want to book a solo trip right now. But you know what else I love about travel? Those hilarious travel fails. The moments that make you cringe and laugh at the same time.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
It's like everyone has at least one good travel mishap story, right?
Right.
We actually asked our listeners to share their, like, most embarrassing or unforgettable travel moments, and they definitely did not disappoint.
I bet. Okay, I'm ready for some laughs. Let's hear those travel confessions.
All right, this first one comes from a listener who shall remain nameless.
Oh,
They write, I once accidentally boarded the wrong flight twice. The first time, I was so engrossed in a book that I didn't even realize I was on the wrong plane until we were, like, in the air.
oh my gosh.
The second time, I blame it on jet lag and a severe lack of caffeine. Needless to say, I'm now, like, hyper aware of boarding announcements and double-check my ticket about 1,000 times before getting on a plane.
Oh, wow. Talk about a double whammy of travel mishaps.
Right.
But hey, at least they learned a valuable lesson, right?
Absolutely.
Always double check that boarding pass.
Yes. And it makes for a pretty funny story, too. Okay, the next confession comes from a listener who admits to a major packing fail.
Oh.
They write, I was so excited about going on this tropical vacation that I completely forgot to pack any pants. I ended up wearing my boyfriend's shorts the entire trip.
Oh, no. Let's
Well-
just say it wasn't my most fashionable moment.
That's a packing nightmare. But hey, maybe those boyfriend shorts became, like, a lucky travel charm.
I love that perspective. Turning a packing fail into a positive travel memory. Okay, this next one is a classic case of lost in translation.
Ooh, I love these.
A listener writes, I was trying to order a coffee in Italy, but I accidentally asked for a capo instead of a cappuccino.
Oh.
Let's just say I got a few confused looks and ended up with a very strong espresso instead. I'm still not sure what a capo is, but I'll never forget that awkward moment.
Those language barriers can be tricky.
They can.
But it's all part of the fun, right?
Yeah.
And it's a good reminder to, brush up on some basic phrases or download a translation app before you go.
Even if you totally butcher the pronunciation, people appreciate the effort.
I completely agree. It's those little attempts to connect that make all the difference. All right, we've got time for one more confession before we move on. This one comes from a listener who had a bit of a wildlife encounter.
Oh, no.
They write, I was hiking in a national park when I came face to face with a bear.
Oh, my.
I froze in my tracks, not sure what to do. Luckily, the bear seemed just as surprised as I was and quickly lumbered off into the woods. I've never hiked alone since then.
Wow, that's a close call. It's a good reminder to always be aware of your surroundings, when you're hiking in areas with wildlife. Make noise, carry bear spray if necessary, and know what to do in case of an encounter.
You're absolutely right. Safety should always be a top priority when exploring the great outdoors. And sometimes, a little healthy fear makes for a great story later on, right?
So true. Okay, we've covered everything from planning tips and hidden gems to cultural faux pas and hilarious travel confessions. But there's one more essential ingredient for, the travel obsessed.
What's that?
Inspiration.
I love where you're going with this. It's time to unleash the wanderlust and dream big. Get ready, listeners, because we're about to take you on a virtual journey to some of the most captivating dream destinations around the world.
Ooh, I love it. There's something so powerful about, dreaming of these far-off places
Mm-hmm.
and envisioning ourselves, exploring new cultures and landscapes and experiences. It's like fuel for the soul.
You're preaching to the choir here.
Yeah.
I could spend hours, like, scrolling through travel photos
Yeah.
and reading about destinations I haven't been to yet.
It's the best, right?
The best. So where are we headed first on this virtual journey?
First stop, we're whisking you away to the enchanting island nation of Iceland.
Iceland.
Yes.
The land of fire and ice.
Yeah.
I've always been fascinated by those, like, stark landscapes, those otherworldly landscapes.
It's a nature lover's paradise. Imagine, soaking in a geothermal hot spring surrounded by snow-capped mountains while the northern lights dance across the sky.
Okay, that's definitely going on my vision board. Is it really as magical as it looks in photos?
It's even more breathtaking in person.
Right.
The glaciers, the volcanoes, the waterfalls, black sand beaches. It's like stepping onto another planet.
It sounds incredible. What about the culture? What are the people like?
The Icelandic people are known for their warmth and hospitality, and their culture is steeped in like fascinating folklore and traditions. You can explore charming villages, visit Viking museums, and even try some traditional Icelandic cuisine.
Okay, I have to ask. What's the deal with fermented shark? I've heard it's an acquired taste.
Let's just say it's not for everyone.
Okay.
But if you're feeling adventurous, it's definitely an experience. And don't worry, there are plenty of other delicious and more approachable Icelandic dishes to try.
Good to know. Iceland is definitely moving up my bucket list.
Yeah.
Where are we jetting off to next?
Next, we're heading south to the vibrant and colorful country of Morocco.
Morocco. The land of bustling souks, ancient cities, and like stunning desert landscapes.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to experience those like labyrinthine markets and, haggle for treasures.
It's a sensory overload in the best possible way. Imagine, getting lost in the maze-like alleyways of Marrakech's Medina, surrounded by the sights and sounds and smells of spices, textiles, handcrafted goods.
And then escaping to the Sahara Desert.
Yeah.
For like a camel trek under a blanket of stars.
Exactly. Morocco offers this like unique blend of Arabic, Berber, and European influences, creating this like incredibly rich tapestry of culture, art, and architecture. You can explore ancient Roman ruins, visit stunning mosques, and even try your hand at surfing on the Atlantic coast.
Morocco sounds like an absolute feast for the senses.
Yeah, okay.
I'm ready for our final dream destination. Where are we headed to wrap up this virtual adventure?
For our last stop, we're traveling to the mystical and spiritual country of Bhutan, nestled high in the Himalayas.
Bhutan. I've always been intrigued by their philosophy of, gross national happiness.
Bhutan is truly a special place. They prioritize well-being and happiness over, like, material wealth. And it really shows in their culture and their way of life. Imagine, like, hiking through pristine Himalayan landscapes, visiting ancient monasteries perched on cliffs, and witnessing these colorful festivals that celebrate their rich Buddhist heritage.
It sounds like a place where you can truly disconnect from, like the modern world,
Yeah.
and reconnect with yourself and nature.
Exactly. And because Bhutan emphasizes, sustainable tourism, you can expect an authentic and immersive experience that's like a world away from the typical tourist crowds.
So we've gone from the icy landscapes of Iceland to the vibrant souks of Morocco, and now to the mystical mountains of Bhutan. That was an incredible journey.
And that's just, a taste of what the world has to offer. We've only scratched the surface, but hopefully it sparked some ideas, some inspiration for our listeners' next adventure.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling incredibly inspired to start planning my next trip.
Remember, travel is not just about seeing new places, right? It's about discovering yourself, broadening your horizons, and creating memories that'll last a lifetime.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of travel. We hope you've enjoyed the journey as much as we have.
It's been a pleasure sharing our insights and hopefully inspiring your next adventure.
Don't forget to share your own travel adventures with us. You can find us on Instagram at #WanderlustWith786. We love seeing your photos and hearing about your experiences. Until next time, happy travels.